Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another week of the Australian Amateur Overwatch League and their fourth season. My name is Justin, aka Subways, and I have two beautiful gentlemen with me to call the action. Would you kindly introduce yourselves?
I am Joe Phoenix, and the other guy is
Rainbow. How you doing, boys?
doing great. It's good to be back for another weekend, and yeah, looking forward to some of these great Overwatch matches.
And I mean, this one here is Jameson Junkers versus Shikis Harem. I'm curious to see how this game is going to work out. We are, of course, great map here. I love this map, especially this segment of this map. How do you feel about it, Cyberways?
I am a huge fan of this particular section because of the huge split as to where the fights take place, both in the air and on the ground. A lot of them will hug the higher sections where, like, far away from the point, but when the point is actually opened and open for contest, it'll be just a mad scramble, and it's really enthralling to watch. But to clarify for those watching along at home, Jameson Junkers are in the baby blue side, and Shikis Harem are on the red, and we are about to go.
Yeah, we're seeing with the red side going with the very close quarters, as you were mentioning, boys. Once we get into the point, it's all out brawling. Going with the Mei and also the Reaper, wanting to get up close and personal with a lot of those tanks, shred them down, and then control the fights from there.
Well, they're going to Salvate. There goes the point. It's fully unlocked, and it is full of the Harem. They are ready and there to play. Winston has jumped in and tried to take things down, and they've turned it all on its head. Tastic played a huge part. Despite the point flipping, this might not last much longer, with only one left on the point.
Well, it's impressive the fact that they even managed to cap it out because they'd be dropping players very quickly. Tastic's going to find another kill in there, and they should eventually be cleaned up. But they have to use the coalescence to get it. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but they will be able to cap this back out.
Yeah, it was a bit. They managed to get that coalescence reasonably early, despite how that fight was going. So it doesn't feel as though they're going to be missing out too much from not having that coalescence. They are doing quite well, getting close to some of their other ultimates, with the missile barrage coming in quite soon, and also having a Valkyrie potentially for this next fight. But looking at the other side, we're looking at Rufio. He's on that right heart, very close to the Earth Shatter. This will get real messy.
There it goes, the Earth Shatter did come out. Did someone lose their legs, but it wasn't so much avail. Tastic will let the rockets fly, will take out one. Spengades, I believe, will also play a contributing factor. That's holding off the push for now, but to be honest, they didn't really invest much to get that all off.
No, fairly light investment. Looks like they've got the Zarya pin down there. That's Jiffy getting cleaned up. Really good job focus firing right now by the Jameson Junkers. Focusing down a couple of these players, finding kills, and isolating 1v1s.
Yeah, now coming into this
more than 1v1s, I should say.
Well, yeah, coming into this next approach on the red side, they do have some big AAOL ultimates coming in. They have the Graviton Surge and also the Blizzard, but they're not going to be able to use that, as Brilliant is going to be the first one to go down. Tap's doing very well, controlling the air with this, making it very hard for this approach to work out. They have lost the Reaper. Rubio goes down on the Reinhardt as well, and that is going to be yet another strong defense, and only had to use the just the Primal Rage for that defense.
It was a Primal Rage. Yes, he did eventually go down at the hands of Jiffy, but with all things considered, you could call that a rousing success. But Tastic on the Jameson Junkers gets critically low before falling back. And eventually do fall and die for Shikis Harem.
Well, here comes those rocket barrages. It's going to find the kill on the Rufio. Janice and Jiffy are down as well, so that's a support. Tastic is still farming on this point, but the Mei Blizzard's coming in. That's going to trap 3 of these players. They should be able to clean up the Mercy kill, and in fact, they will be showing getting that. Going to be popping back into the Ice Cube, trying to delay this out as long as he can, but it's been cleaned up again by Tastic with the Pharah finding some nice kills. I think that another one. Oh, Janice. But the Shatter coming in. They're doing a great job trying to keep this alive, but it looks like it will be capped out as they clean up Rufio and Jameson Junkers taking map 1 or segment 1 of map 1.
Yeah, it just seemed like the red team, they weren't really paying as much attention to the Pharah as they probably should have. She got so much space to work with, and she was controlling all those fights. And when on the other side, for a lot of that, they were going with the Mei and the Reaper. They can't do all that much to her, and at that point, you're just losing fight after fight when this Pharah just has so much control.
You can never let a Pharah basically just have free reign on everyone. The best card in that entire composition, I feel, would be Mei because of the recent changes to her eyes. But even then, it's a bit of a stretch. We go into the Sanctum! And yet again, tasting on the Reaper. Keep an eye out if the side of Shikis Harem will go into the lower depths right near the point. If it gets really close quarters in there, he will run right on the red side.
You're covered.
When we have Team No Boot versus Team Boot, we got the Roadhog and Rufio on the Orisa. Could cause some problems with the pit, but actually Jiffy with his Shoddy getting first kill off. Boyan on the end is actually going to DMAC the D.Va too. So that's a couple really nice picks here early in this fight.
Yeah, the Mercy goes in, gets all the resurrection, but does pay for it. He's forced. Since as the red team is going to be able to get onto the point first, and they do have, as you mentioned, a lot of displacement on this composition with the Roadhog, with the Orisa, but with how clumped up they're wanting to be as a composition, this Reaper is just having a field day with this front line.
Big bad and big nasty Hellfire and Shotgun. This is exactly what they were doing. They ended up flipping the side of the war to the Jameson Junkers. They tip the point and they get their first set of percentage. They've got a couple of big ults that they can potentially use, and they did exactly that. Veldy took out Giannis. This might get traded out.
We've just got them trapped up in the doorway right now. They're trying to find any entrance. That's a nice hook there, but the Moira will escape. Nicely done. And now the Hellfire Shotgun's coming right in with the ultimate. He gets denied out by the Hanzo. Showman is actually picked off the Mercy too. And now here comes Dragon Strike. Not able to find anything with that one. The monkey knocks Jiffy into the pit. Rest in peace.
Yeah, that is going to be training some of those skills. It looks like it's going to be a great start, but just losing those members on the actual approach to the point, this is going to start turning around. But Jan's getting a nice kill onto Green Frog, gives him a little bit more space, but with the scores coming back for the side of the Jameson Junkers, it looks like they have enough sustain. Keep the fight going and keep on pushing in, but with the returning members for the red side, they might start to just overwhelm this Jameson Junkers lineup.
They did exactly that. Now they're only just trying to bleed time, and Green Frog got hit with a nade and got forced to ride the lightning. Now the D.Va is only trying to get time, get the protection from the mech. The Belt will also contribute, sticks the bomb to Jiffy, but instant AAOL is able to get out of that one. And they bled a good 20% from that. The fight started at about 55%, and now it's up to 75%. As soon as Shikis Harem are able to start accruing percentage of their own. And the blue side of the Jameson Junkers are very, very angry and very keen to get back onto the point, but they're being denied by both the Dragon Strike and a big, fat, nasty man named Roadhog. So they may have to hold up for the time being.
Yeah, definitely a really good job by Shikis Harem breaking down kind of those walls, getting through and, you know, denying a lot of players trying to get back in.
Yeah, and now that Shikis Harem have made this setup, this is the kind of situation they want to be in. They want to have that static defense with the Jameson Junkers pushing into them and then just punishing them for overextension. But here comes a D.Va mech explosion. Will they be able to get anything out of it? Doesn't really, but it does split up this defense, and they are going to be able to pick up Sherman right at the start. As Void does manage to take down Hanzo as well. This is the great start to the fight for the Jameson Junkers. They're making their way onto the point, and they're starting to pick up more and more kills. And because that static defense has been displaced, it's really hard for them to set back up against it.
Indeed, and that was the huge problem. As soon as they got split, and I'd like to say it was Tastic, although we got slept out of the fight, he distracted them for long enough for the entire defense to basically collapse. And now Shikis Harem are on borrowed time as they move up to 95%. There goes the Reaper Copter. It was to no avail, but they will try and have their last gasp as overtime begins for the first time.
They're starting to find these kills. They've got a couple for the defense here. They're not bending. They are not breaking, and they're cleaning everyone up. It's just Jiffy on the point right now. He tries to get a hook off, but he'll be cleaned up. I don't think Teto. Oh, with the dash, he gets on there, but he gets cleaned up. No more spawns are there, and that is going to be the second segment cleaned up. So map 1 going to Jameson Junkers.
Yeah, it was really well done there. Once they were able to displace that static defense that the Harem were trying to set up, we saw just how chaotic these fights were ending up, and they were able to just pick them one by one. And once they were starting to kind of lose their footing, Shikis' Harem, they couldn't just plant their feet and really get a solid defense.
It was almost like they were standing on sand. They would try to run themselves out of there, but it was to no avail.
Ice. It was just slipping all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh well, that would have been far more fitting given our setting.
Yeah.
But Jameson Junkers living up to their namesake and having a very, very explosive set of rounds there on Nepal, and that will leave them 1-0 up into the series as we move on to our next map, and one of my personal favorites, to be honest, which is Nobody.
And it kind of makes sense that that they were slipping on ice, because this is Australian Overwatch, and you know, as a Canadian, we're used to ice, we're used to skating. You know, we can skate before we can walk. But you know, I hear Australia is pretty warm, pretty hot place. So I'm not sure how much you have in the way of ice consistently, like on your water surfaces there. So you know, I'm not sure how much these guys kind of are around skating. So it makes sense that they struggled a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's not my area of expertise by far. You can go to Simon for that one. I am not all about that one.
Well, we do have a league for that.
Yeah.
But they're obviously not as good. They use a bunch of imports, just like the Overwatch League. They use a lot of Koreans.
Just like everything, there's always imports.
I know, but we do have the map going live. We are on Nobody, and as a reminder, Jameson Junkers are one map up in this series. All 3 maps will be played out this evening for those wandering along at home. And honestly, as I said, this is probably one of my favorite maps in the entire game. And I'd like to get the thoughts from both of you. How you think that this will play out, given a couple of new heroes have entered the pool. Hammond's not legal for tournament play this week, but he will be back next week. What do you think?
To be honest, with this map, I'd be excited to see Hammond on this map particularly because of the verticality and how much you can throw yourself into the skies with all of this terrain. I'd really like to see how Hammond plays out on it, but considering how we've been seeing a lot of the teams, well, either defending or not defending very well at this first point, I'm really not sure what we're really in for. Last week, Dreamboat and I got a game where there was like a triple sniper defense, and they were able to hold on, like a full hold at this first point. So I'm not sure what to really expect from these games.
Yeah, I don't even believe that they gave up a single tick.
Yeah.
But you know, with these teams, one of the things that I'm really looking for early on in this fight is something that Jameson Junkers was so effective at on that last map. It felt like anytime they took a team fight, they were fighting as a 6-man unit, but they somehow managed to split Shikis' Harem into a 3-on-3 on both sides. They seem to do such a good job of separating players, isolating a solo player, maybe 2 people, but splitting them up enough that they're able to clean up a little bit of it with their focus fire and then bring it over to the rest of the team and basically systematically winning team fights because of it. If they continue that here, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath in their favor.
Speaking of oddities, get a load on the main street. There is a turret in there, and so many, and the rest of the crew have spotted it out. But Totoku's been deleted from the server very early on by the Widowmaker there. So there's oddities all over the place, and if that turret's not dealt with, which it was eventually, it'll still be an absolute pain in the neck. Keep an eye on Tastic, see if he actually changes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you can do with the 12-year-old, just throw that turret early on, at least far out on the defensive side, give yourself a bit of free percentage going towards your ultimate, and then once that has gone down, you can set it up in a more defensive position so it can at least contest the point once the attack does start to come in. So we see he's already at 91% towards his ultimate, so he is going to be ready to rock once this attack finally does make its way to the point.
They're starting to make their way in right now. Rufio is the first one to fall. Tastic will actually get a nice shot there onto the Mercy, and the rest of these kills are coming in. Even they only managed to pick off Belv on the Widow. That's 8 kills. And Jimmy's actually managed to demech the rival D.Va, so he's doing a little bit of work on the backside. But Goiter on the Moira is going to be able to clean up one. Now fighting a 1v1 with a remix D.Va. It looks like Jiffy's going to be able to escape. So well done by him to at least get out of there.
What was going on? There goes the recon. Toku lets it all hang out. We'll wipe out Green Frog, and Rufio will take out Tastic. Sorry, man, your Swedish engineering won't hold up anymore. And the blue side of the Jameson Jokers will be flailing trying to hold onto this defense. But oddly enough, they haven't even started on Shikis Harem 2. Trying to get a tick, and it looks like they've tipped it back in their favor. Maybe being a little bit too passive, that might have cost them.
Yeah, because the point wasn't ticking down just yet, it has given enough time for the defense to recuperate, to get all of those respawns in, and now it looks like they have regained a lot of control around this area. This attack is being very passive in how they're approaching the point. It's just the tanks moving on, and the Mercy jumping between the backline and the front line. They're just waiting for their opportunity, but it doesn't seem to be coming just yet. They do manage to get a trade kill. Belv going down, and yet again, trade kills again, just be doing a lot of work on this D.Va.
He's doing everything he can to try and keep his team in there, and there's a nice kill by Toku on the tanks. He's Mercy open things up, and Gorder going down. That means that there's no healing here. Tastic is in here still trying to cause a bit of a pain, as is the D.Va Smeg. Smeg is actually going to find the Mercy and demech the D.Va. Now Belv is back here on the Tracer. They're finding a few kills. Tastic will fall, but they've actually done such a good job of bleeding time. They've given up a tick so far. They're probably going to give up a little bit more here as these kills keep coming in, but the delay is so massive. They're turning so much time off. And it forces a Dragon Blade out of Showman. He's found a kill on it. Takes, gets Belv too. That's a Mercy and Tracer down. Good.
They all moved away from the point. That might actually cost them in the end. It did not, but that could have ended up extremely scary there. But they do get the payload moving with around 30 seconds, give or take. But they've got a really uphill presence of mind and thing to climb, because that took a lot longer and was really, really scrappy even towards the end.
Yeah, it was looking like Big Point was going to get taken in the end, but for how long that was drawn out, that's a bit of a worry considering how much further they still have to go. But we saw a really great Earth Shatter coming out of Green Frog on that defense, but there was no one to follow up. But it does seem that he is going to be switching back a few heroes left and right, so I'm not sure if it was necessary to throw down that Earth Shatter once the point had already been taken. Bit of a waste there.
And the problem is it was a really nice Earth Shatter. I think he caught 5,
3 or 4.
definitely caught 4 of them. Like really nice. He just didn't have anyone there to support him to follow up on it, which is just a shame, you know, because it would have been like it was the perfect setup for it, but there was nothing with it.
Speaking of wasted, Rufio did get just that as counterpart of Green Frog. It would appear, given the current state of affairs, and the Ren had been used on the Giannis as well, but Goida has ejected Jiffy from the back, and it would appear that this payload is not going to move any further, and Jameson Jokers will be in a strong position as we move into 1 minute and 30 for Shikis Harem to get the payload moving to the second checkpoint. Do you like their chances, Dreamjack?
It's going to be difficult for them to keep finding kills as they have there. It's not going to be hard at all, and it's a very nice Earth Shatter. They should be able to catch the Mercy. Oh, he gets out! That's very lovely. So they have grabbed a lot of space in here. Dragon Blade come out. It's gonna should get both of these healers. Potentially. Really not gonna find much of all as Tastic cleans it up. But still, these kills seem to be going in the way of the offense.
Yeah, they are starting to get a little bit of ground. This is one of the areas that can be the hardest to defend out in this second point because of the difference between the spawn distances. We saw the reinforcements coming in for the red team were just that little bit quicker and allowed them to essentially reload their team just that little bit more efficiently, and they are going to be able to get to the second point. And with the Widow of Teitoku really opening up a lot of space and making it very hard for the defense to really just set up, because once that shield goes down, with Red Frog wanting to start throwing that hammer left and right, it's just leaving the backline very vulnerable.
It's very, very scary out there with the Widow of the field and you don't have your shield. I will tell you that much.
Oh.
But I mean, tell me Toku, that is enough of that! And that will sit him out for the time being, and Green Frog will drop DJ Rufio. So, after a little bit of a shaky defense on the second point, it looks like things have tapered out for the Jameson Junkers. They do have a good war chest as well. They have the Valkyrie, the Barrage, and the Earth Shatter as well. If they can combine this, correctly, this could stop this attack dead if Shikis and Harem do not counter in time. They are keen to go as Green Frog tells them to lay down the hammer and lay down their arms, and we are in for another fight.
Perfect read there, though, again, to counter that out. And how these skills are going the way of the offense again. Showman finding 2 kills right there, picking off Lorine and a healer. The res will come in on Rufio as well, and this is a mauling. That's just complete wipe, I believe.
Yeah, pretty
The bell didn't sound, but we may as well call it a team wipe. That was just a spit shine. They just got rolled all the way out. And we go down to 5 seconds.
One thing I want to see from both these teams, or at least both of these Reinhardts, block at least one Earth Shatter. There hasn't been a single block this entire series so far. When we're used to seeing them block left, right, and center, but there's just getting so much free value out of these Earth Shatters. But now we do have the offense stepping up real close to completing. The Earth Shatter does get dropped again, knocking several onto the ground, but with that Dragon Blade going out, manages to clean up one of the supports. And it's just trading back and forth. The Resurrection does come in onto Jiffy, so the DB is going to be back into the fight. Grandpa's trying to get as much done, as there goes another Earth Shatter just to clean up the rest of this round.
Delaying the inevitable, really, and that will be that.
Just one. I just want one of them to be blocked.
Doesn't look like that's their MO, my man. I think they just
It's
want
all
to go
offense.
hammering dogs. It's like, defense? What's defense?
Yeah, I
Get
have
in
this
front of it.
shield.
It's like,
Nah, I have this hammer.
yeah, it's essentially young Reinhardt from the Honor and Glory trailer, just going up into the front line and just laying waste to anybody who stands in front of them. They did end up getting there in the end, but it was in overtime, according to the overlay. Yes, it was. So, if the Jameson Junkers end up finishing out the half with any time added on, that'll make things a lot easier for them in the future.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is going to sound pathetic. I'm pretty sure I played Reinhardt for the first time yesterday, or 2 days ago. And one thing that blew me away is genuinely how fast those shatters build. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like that felt fast there as a caster, but as a player, it feels like it's even faster. And
You get into a fight, you start throwing hands, and all of a sudden, oh, I got this shatter. Let's party.
yeah, like I think we saw 2 of them come up from Rufio in like a 15-second span there.
It's about 25 seconds between shatters for Rufio, which is absolutely absurd. Especially when you're in the thick of a team fight and just going nuts with the giant hammer. If everything lines up right, you can charge shatters like it's nothing. 10 seconds until the gates open. What do you think we'll see? I see a Duke Fist.
Yeah, I'm seeing a very aggressive dive composition coming out from the Junkers, and it looks like we will have a bit of a similar response coming out of the defense from the Harem, going for the Winston as well, wanting to drop down that shield. Maybe kind of expecting this style of offense, and Sherman going over to the big are also going to help out in dissuading a lot of those squishy assassins. Essentially, the Doomfist can just stun them out and just execute them from there. So I like the composition coming out from the junkers, but I also like the response.
They're starting to brawl it out on the point right now. Smackheads has been the-mech, so that is going to hinder the offense a little bit. And Jiffy's actually cleaning him up. Tetoku gets the mercy, and that is going to close things out pretty much for this push. It's going to clean up the rest of them. Two players trying to retreat, but that was a really nice hold on that opening fight. And a really good job by Jiffy on the Diva.
Indeed. That's an entirely good job from the entire defense, it would seem, because even they came so close to stretch attack me out as well. In terms of respawns, they got the frag on a hit and got down to half health. That could have been extremely ugly in terms of timings and everything. But now they're gonna have another go on the side of Jameson's job because they ended up trading out the Doofus for the Farah. And there isn't really much to counter aside from Tetoku as the infra side. None of them going out. But in terms of recon, it might be a little bit useful. But, ooh, be ready for a nano boost of Winston. That lightning's gonna hurt.
Oh yeah, and meanwhile on the backside, Bell does manage to take down Janice. He gets Showman as well, so the Junkrat coming in as well as another adjustment to the composition, and this could start to turn this fight. He picked up 3, and this fight does end up going down to Rufio, who is going to be slapping away on that with that Primal Rage, but now it's just a fight of the tanks on the point. There is going to be Tastic in the skies on the Farah. Is going to be able to be much uncontested, but now they do actually have Goita coming in. Doesn't manage to get the healing day in time, so the defense may have some time to get back to the point, but it is just trading back and forth at this point.
Picks off the Gita, but there's still Tetoku firing the shots in. Fury has been popped off and looking for whatever they can, but Janice picks up the other healer and takes me down. Riptire coming in, there will pick off the Zenyatta. That's all that's found though. It's Tetoku who finds another headshot. Still looking for whatever.
Here comes the Rocket Barrage. Does manage to take down Rufio, but it looks like the defense is starting to maintain a little bit of control, but it's just the tanks left that supports kind of been left high and dry in a lot of these fights. Brigitte going down yet again. Boyan does manage to get the kill with the Bionade onto Tastic, and here comes the Nano Boost onto the mech, the Pilot Diva. It's going to get absolutely nothing out of that, and that is going to be the end of that fight.
If anything, it was cool to look at, wasn't it?
Maybe. It's no boostio, but yeah, I'll take it.
Well, little victories. That is the first point completely conceded. We're going down to 3 minutes to get the payload through the street phase. This is pretty much turned into a slugfest. Neckhead is heading the charge, and Dream Forest is extremely angry, extremely low, and now extremely dead. Judging from the kill feed, it was a team effort in every sense of the word. And that might be the call to retreat on that back alone.
The defense is actually getting aggressing quite deep right now, and they have popped off the Winston ultimate here, trying to get in, just kind of space these guys back as far as they can, looking for any real kill. He's not going to find any of this. Rufio getting cleaned up by Bell. There's another Riptire coming in here. That's beautiful, picking up 2 supports. There is still the Ana as they are running the triple support lineup right now, but they found all of these kills. Meghead's getting 2 of them with the Diva as well. That will buy them a lot more space and should get them the second point here.
My ultimate is ready.
Kind of similar to what we saw in the previous round, with the defense wanting to be very aggressive. They were maintaining some space for some time, but once the ball got rolling, it's very hard to set your feet in that second point, and it just rolls straight through to the end. Tastic getting a kill onto Tetoku, and that is going to be a big blow for them coming into this 3rd point defense. They need that Widow to be contesting those sightlines, making sure that Tetoku isn't, making sure that Tastic isn't going to be able to just have all this freedom. And actually, Tetoku moving over to the McCree as here comes the mech explosion, gets denied as the mech explosion doesn't manage to take down Goitus, puts the Mercy down. The Resurrection not going to be available for this next fight. They are starting to turn the corner, Drivo.
Yeah, Rufio's shield did get destroyed there as well, so it is not on much health, but now these ults are coming out for this defense. Doing a great job keeping these players alive, and they've started to find some of the kills with them as well. Cleaning up very nicely here. This is going to be a full retreat from the offense. They do still have 2.5 minutes to move this cart not a particularly long distance. So they got some time to work with here, Cyberways.
A little bit, but if the defense is able to huck it down, especially despite the fact that Satoku did end up changing to the McCree it might lessen the potential damage distance, but if he's gonna be able to hit the shots, it won't really mean all that much. And there is the call to arms from Showman. The rally has come out and given a little bit of extra armor to everyone. The Belby got slapped and dodged away by Rufio, and that'll force the Reds out from Goida. So that will make things a lot more difficult for this attack. If they choose to even go on.
That armor really came into its own as Toku stepped very far forward with the Deadeye. Doesn't really get anything out of it, but they do take down Smekers on the Zaya, so they're just going to stall out this attack just that little bit more. Belv does manage to take down the Anna with a well-placed trap and also the Reptire. Here comes Greenfrog, who does have a Discord Orb on him, but is going to be starting to slap away with this Primal Rage. Gets taken down. The rest of the team was just not there. It just gets picked apart, Dreamboat.
And I like the adjustment here to put Tastic on the Reaper, but he gets slapped in behind. He is a dead man. For real this time. Because Reaper already was a dead man. But that's really not enough done there with him for them to do too much with this push. Just kind of poking the card a little bit forward, engaging at a distance, but another one of these Deadeyes is coming in. He's not able to find any kills there, and these ults started coming on the offense. Rufio could be in trouble. They're trying to catch him out here. In fact, he will go down before Greenfrog and Tagsy have fallen. A Rezzle come in on the Reinhardt. That was a great Riptire picking up Showman. They're looking for some more. Tastic is in deep right now, trying to stay alive. They're looking for whatever kills they can find, and they're pushing this cart ever so forward. Player from his zone right off of the Cyberways.
It's essentially just running at a brick wall and trying to get it to break. And that is exactly what Ninja Rufio is trying to prevent with the end of his hammer. Smackhead's getting the only reply. The Graviton did come out from the attack, but that will be to no avail. And it will hold ever so close. We're down to 20 seconds. And they will have to scrap anything that they can fitting for a name like the Jameson Junkers.
Yeah, they have to just get to the point just to send it into overtime. And they need to be able to get all the way through to the end just to send it into extra innings. But with the Graviton Surge on the defense, they are going to be able to clean up Greenfrog. And the attack does manage to get their Belv on the backside. With the Tracer does manage to tag it, but they aren't able to get back into the fight just yet. The Tracer does go down. The Resurrection did go down with the Reinhardt, so they do have their front liner still in the fight. But he goes down yet again, and there comes the Earth Shatter just to clean this attack out. And that is going to secure this map win for the Harem.
Marine life is good indeed. And a nice little tidbit there, I think it was the Reaper there. He actually got fragged by the sleep dart. I found that extremely amusing. But we are now tied at 1 and we go into our final
This is
map,
not your time.
which is a 2-2, and we are going to yet again to the cold. We're going to Volskaya. That was actually a lot of fun to watch, especially watching that attack at both ends.
My genius is finally recognized.
Yeah, but these teams are pretty efficient on attack. It was just about who is going to be able to actually hold on at any point during this these pushes. It seems to be a bit of a running theme, especially on the map that we have coming up next, Volskaya, where sometimes we've had games that just go so quickly on that first run through. It's just about who can actually hold their ground for any amount of time is usually the one who's going to be able to really extend or create a lot of those advantages, Dreamboat.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they could, and the biggest thing that I noticed kind of that backfired, I guess, for the Jameson Junkers is they didn't get back to the roots of what kept them so successful. Whether that's because it was an adjustment from Shikis Harem or because they weren't able to, it's tough to tell. But the big strength on the first map, why they won it so handily, is they kept isolating fights. That didn't happen. They played Shikis Harem were a much tighter unit, and they didn't kind of bite for some of the bait that Jameson Junkers showed for them. And because of that, these fights on an even ground, it feels like Shikis Harem is a little bit better in these even fights. And, with that, I honestly have to say I have confidence in them to pull out Volskaya here.
You know how momentum can change, especially on a map of this nature. Any 2CP map, and I think it's very prevalent on Volskaya and another 2CP map being Temple of Anubis. We will either see a full-blown war of attrition where they will have to scrap tooth and nail for 2 points each, or we could see it
Either each team gets
explode.
6 points, or each team gets 0.
Essentially, that's the gambit you have to
feast or
work
famine.
with. Yeah, feast or famine. That'd be the best way to put it in terms of a scoreline. Because I've seen at least personally a bit of a trend lately where basically it's all out aggression on both sides, and the attack almost always wins in that regard. It's quite insane in terms of just even bleeding and stall.
I will say that it does get very entertaining to see just how quickly, like, essentially speedrunning 2CP maps. Some of these teams, but yeah, it's just about how long can you stall them out, not necessarily just prevent them from taking the full cap, because sometimes that's just a bit too much to ask in certain situations, but how long can you just hold on to the point for long enough to make the next round that little bit harder?
And the thing that always kind of, like, I guess from what we've seen so far in this league, makes me chuckle, is we've done a couple games together, Phoenix, where it's been, like, teams are putting, like, 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes, 5.5 minutes left on the clock by the time they finish the first round. And then they get to the second round, and neither team can cap first point.
Yeah. It is like, what actually changed? It's like, the only thing that has changed is that you have the slightest bit more information about how the attack is coming in. And if you, I guess if the defense does manage to essentially guess right and set up the right defense to deal with the competition coming in, that is a great start. As they've managed to concussion mind void, as they are going to be bringing out the Symmetra. So wanted to bring in some of these unique and new strategies. Interested to see how this one plans out.
What I think Void was trying to do was set up a teleporter and get the rest of the team to wrap around, but Tastic had an eye on it and basically took that equation out of it, and almost took the Mercy as well. So Tastic has his weak picks today, and it definitely shows. They're still on the wraparound though on the side of Shikis Harem.
And they're wrapping around with Hitoku on a Bastion. I like this. If they can get it set up on top, he can just do so much work shredding literally everything. They're trying to keep him alive here. He's already picked off Tastic on Vera. He's looking for so much more. The rest are going to come out. They found a couple kills on this defense. But this Bastion is a giant thorn in their side they need to be careful of.
Yeah, I really like this approach, but I feel as though they were just a little bit impatient. Yes, it's starting to work out. They're starting to shred down some of those targets, but because the Reinhardt stepped forward way too fast, but now the rest of the team's ready to help out, they were able to clean out the Reinhardt and then turn onto the rest of the team. And it was a good idea that just seemed a little bit hastily executed.
That entire idea just screams to me essentially one and done. They won't be able to even try that again because it'll be easily counted, and especially when both of the tanks go down, it's gonna be a rough time.
Yeah, that's gonna be it for that one.
Void's thrown in the towel and is no longer on Symmetra. But we have the Lucio for Sherman now, so they still have the need for speed, but it'll come by different means.
Yeah, they just want to run in. They do have just the big beefy members and also the same sustainability, but Tastic on the backside does manage to D-Mac, and also Bell, just two ultimates just pincering this attack, managed to take down Goku, as they are starting to bleed members, or at least a lot of the HP bars. Jiffy's going to be the next one to go down, and this attack is just starting to struggle, but a great shatter. Again, not really much of capitalization on that. As I say that, two supports have gone down, and this could spell good things for this attack.
That might pretty much be Svea's done. Svea on the Roadhog is the only person left. And they will eventually go down. It'll be up to the Jameson Junkers to consider whether or not they can sense it. Looks like they are not even going to try. And that'll be the point ticking over to Shikis Harem, and there it goes, 5 minutes and 12, and they do have to self-destruct, down barrier, and convalescence to keep this going, so they could snowball this with a good timeback if everything plays out right.
still going to be a bit of a rough one because there are some defensive options to be used. We do see the drum being blocked by the Orisa, and some of the extra damage, but they've been cleaned up, and already Belt has gone down to the dismount as a charge takes the Orisa straight off the map. Rufio just taking one down with the ship, and it looks like they're starting to maintain some control at this point, and they've almost already taken it. It's just, the defense just didn't get to the point at all.
They got shut out in every sense of the word. I saw the entire squad of Shikis Harem just gang up on the entire defense, just say, no, you are not going to get into our point. And well, what's the old saying? When in doubt, go sit out. That's exactly what they did, and they end up with a very healthy 4 minutes and 38 after that attack. It took a while for them to get there, but they got there, and they got there in dominant fashion.
So what makes it so healthy at 4 minutes and 38 seconds? Is it like, is it like 4 minutes and 38 seconds with like broccoli and carrots, or like, is it a high iron time?
I'd say, given their
big fiber,
I'd say high iron.
Oh, okay. Not a potassium.
Oh no, we're not going there. No, we're not going there.
No, exactly what you're doing with that one.
Yeah, I knew where you were going.
I don't even know what I'm doing with that one, so please enlighten me what I'm doing.
I knew where you were going as soon as you said potassium. I'm like, leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I am genuinely so baffled at what you're talking about right now. I feel like I have no idea what you mean.
When in doubt, go sit out. That's gonna come with time. I don't know where we are anymore, but we are on a map in Overwatch. I will say that much, and it'll be up to the Jameson Junkers attack to try.
Oh, I get
match
it. Potassium
or
and
better.
bananas.
Yeah.
Oh
God. That took me.
We got it before you did. You're the one who said it.
And
That's not what I was trying to go for. I
Gentlemen,
was
please.
just saying, like, potassium is in like things that are in food groups.
Yes, it was. Damn it, Rainbow.
Get it together, Dreamboat. Sonic Arrow has basically sniffed out this entire attack, and it'll give Tastic a very good set of sightlines if he chooses to capitalize on them. And he's got his sight set on Giannis, and now he's moved away towards the tank line, given the current set of engagement right under the signage. It's going to be a tug of war so far until Toku takes out one of the heavy hitters, points out the resurrection, and Toku will force Taxi to pay for it with their lives. That might be called to go back, especially given Toku at the sharp aim that we've seen this past.
Rufio is going to pick up Belgian. We're going at it to Toku again. Really nice work on the Hanzo there, finding a few kills.
Yeah, this Hanzo really putting in the work, and already has a Dragon Strike come through. Really these very narrow choke points, which we're seeing Jameson Junkers wanting to approach with, and there it goes, straight through, trying to split apart that defense, and that is exactly what it has done. Green Frog is going to be the first one to go down, and this allows the defense to hold on just that little bit stronger, and it makes it much harder for the Junkers to really push through.
Fantastic, caught extremely far behind enemy lines, and only just making it out. He was on the flank for such a long time, Bass banking on a frag or two to come through, but that did not end up happening. And now this defense is even stronger now, with Toku having a day, putting his Sonic Arrow right through Farah's chest and taking Taggy out. Novi is the only person to reply thus far. There was another one that went down to speed, but they are trying, but failing thus far. There was only one reply. Toku is having an absolute field day right now. Somebody fed him his Nutrigrade, because he is playing like a true athlete.
The Mad Lad is just fragging out left, right, and center. What is this from him? Jesus, why didn't we see that all series? Like, this is insane.
He was putting a lot of work in the earlier maps, but this one he is just going to that next level with that Hanzo, and with this very somewhat predictable approach, they're able to deal with it. And Sleep Dart straight onto the missile barrage, and Farah is going to be a great start to this fight, but is going to get take a lot of pressure from the Reaper on the back line, but with the rest of the team being able to approach as well, they are going to be able to take them down, but they do get the trade, so Tastic is going to be able to control the skies. Just the one-on-one versus Zenyatta has to get out there with and wait for the rest of the team to come through, as they do, and it looks like this attack is starting to gain some ground, and they might be able to get themselves this first point.
The Dragon Strider from Toku as a part of gifts. It's stretched all the way out and actually started to attack up Spagates, but that will be all it'll be able to muster. And now they're pretty much dead on in terms of time. Maybe give or take a few seconds. And yet again, will we see a repeat of the previous map where they just snowballed it right onto the point, but they do have a couple of preventative measures at play with the
again, in the previous round, there were some preventative measures, but it didn't really help him, so... Finally a great block coming out to deny that Earth Shatter. So just Blossom, they're taking down the front line, but Jiffy is just leveling and just ripping it through that offense, but Tastic manages to pick up himself. It does give a lot of room over to the attack, but he's already lost one member, so the force right out of this point.
You might want to.
That's gonna have to force them to reconsider how they're going to approach this attack. Tastic will definitely want to be staying on the far, I feel, because not only with a long sight line and no real counter to deal with it, there is no Widowmaker to deal with that long sight line, so that will give Tastic basically a firing range. She is making good use of. Want to have another go, Dreamboat?
There's an ungodly performance from Toku that he might have to worry about, and the other could cause him some problems, but that doesn't seem to be the case there. He's going to find a long-range free kill onto it and get Toku. That's both things that could deal with him. There is going to be the Transcendence coming out from the Zenyatta here, doing what he can to keep his team alive, wait for the spawns to come in, but they need to start finding these kills. Graviton coming in, the Dragon's going to come straight through it, but only caught one player. Kills coming in, Jiffy and Janice grabbing one apiece, and it looks like ultimately this defense will manage to hold. They bend, but they do not break.
Yeah, it looked like it was a good combination, but the people who were caught in that Graviton were already dead by the time that Dragon started coming through, and the rest of the team had already retreated, so really nicely done there on the defense. Tastic does, actually, Toku again picking up Goyla, and they don't have the Mercy for the Resurrections. They do manage to trade back and forth. Well, actually, they do. The other team. Bad, but Belv does go over to the Widow, so we do have some more of those longer sight lines logged up. And now we do have another approach. The barrage does come through, takes down one, but gets reflected right back into her face. So the approach is going to be a little bit stunted without that aerial superiority. But they are going to be popping things to front center. Here comes the nano booster. Genji doesn't necessarily drop the blade because they can have it for quite some time, but Belv is actually picking heads as his fight is just dragging on out.
They're bleeding a lot. They are bleeding a lot.
My ultimate is charged.
With his life to get it back. And Rufio with the mighty hammer is going mad and hammer stops. There goes the Graviton Surge from Smegheads. Didn't end up catching Rufio, but it was to no avail. And now Smeg is standing on his own with a very high charge. And we'll actually build Toku, and Bill will put a bullet right between Rufio's eyes. They are holding on the side of Shikis Harem. We run into 1.5 minutes left for Jameson to see the second point. They've got the third of the way there. Can they get the rest of the way, Dreamboat?
That is the $1 million question. Minute 15 remaining on the clock. The time is starting to dwindle. They don't have a lot to work with, and there are a lot of tools for this defense to try and win this fight. They're going to still be giving it their best college try here, if they can't get forward, as the Valkyrie has now come up for Dagsy. They're moving forward, inching their way closer, and they are starting to engage. Here comes the Valkyrie looking for what they can. Fantastic, we'll pick up the Toku. Oh my lord, these ults are left, right, and center, but still going towards the defense. I thought, honestly, that barrage from Tastic would do a lot more work, Phoenix, but it did not appear to.
Yeah, just a lot of great defense coming out from Shikis' Harem, and also having that the nano boost and the graviton is allowing them to clean up a lot of those forward moving members. And they just could ignore a lot of that rocket barrage. One did go down, but they didn't really get punished by being that member down. Tastic does manage to take Taitoku down again, so that's a good start to this fight. The pharmacy is around the side, so Earthshadow does come through. They do manage to take down Free Frog, and this could be the start of something big, sir.
It could be, but Kronos could have a part to play. And we are in overtime, so the other attack will not be able to get the actual attacking half. Tastic will go out in a blaze of glory only to themselves. Overtime will tick away, and not with a bang, but with a whimper. Jameson Junkers will fail to finish out Volskaya. And Shikis Harem will win 2 maps to 1. Take a breath. I'm finished.
Yeah, I mean, that was really close, really solid effort coming in there from the Junkers. I thought, honestly, that they had this. There are a few moments I saw, but there was that huge ante that we're seeing come in right there, and that actually managed to basically save that hold at one point for Shikis Harem. And coming off of that, Jameson Junkers, they really weren't able to kind of piece together a proper, with all the tools, strong assault into it. So just really good job by Shikis Harem for holding that one off.
Yeah, and you just talk about the Ana. We saw how efficiently she was, or how impactful she was in a lot of those defenses. She was very consistently getting nano boosts. There was at one point where dropped a nano boost onto a Genji who only had about 30%. But by the time that fight had ended, she had another nano boost and was able to keep the team pumped up and in those fights, and did an incredible amount of work.
Indeed. And who do you think would be the MVP for that entire set? Would Toku be a suitable candidate, just given his previous maps effort?
I personally wouldn't give it to Totoku. He was very strong on that last map, yes. But I felt he was more of a secondary piece on the Nambani win. He wasn't he had a solid performance, but not kind of standout, and left a little bit to be desired on our very first map. So he is definitely a player that deserves a shout out for the fact that he managed to step it up as the game went on, as the going got tougher and tougher. He got better and better, and it was a big part of why his team managed to pull out Volskaya. However, the player that I kind of think overall was the one doing the most work was Jiffy on the Diva. I feel especially Diva on Nambani stood out, but he was consistent on Volskaya as well, and he just had some very big plays, doing a really good job overall.
It's definitely a fair accolade. But that will conclude our first set for this evening. We'll be back at...
Hold on, Cyber.
Yes?
Phoenix didn't give me an MVP.
Fair call. Phoenix, who is yours?
I really... There were good standout performances on both sides. I mean, Tastic, to be honest, was one of my favorites throughout this entire series because of how I was able to control a lot of the airtime. But Dreamboat, you always say that you can't give it to a losing team. But that makes me a little bit annoyed because Tastic, I would probably say, was one of, if not the most influential pieces throughout a lot of those maps. But I might as well just go back to Taitoku because we saw how good he was on that third map. And even though, as you mentioned, he didn't necessarily play the standout in their win on Nambani, he was still putting in a lot of work. So if you're going to give it to Jiffy, I might as well give it to Taitoku just because he also put in one hell of an effort.
And Saber, do you have an MVP?
Given I was leading towards Totoku just because of how...
We can share.
Yeah, I guess we can share that particular line of thinking. Because he did end up being, well, I wouldn't say a sole factor, but he played a very huge role in basically locking out Jameson Junkers on the second point because of holding the long range sightlines. It basically forced them to play really, really snake bit. It showed it a couple of their pushes. They were a little bit wary of him, and they had every right to do so with the way that he played.
And I mean, before we call it a wrap, those two obviously, were our MVPs. They're two guys that I also wanted to kind of point out, just had under the radar but very strong performances where every time I watched them, they weren't getting like the 4 or 5Ks, but they were just kind of consistently contributing in every key engagement and every kind of key moment. They were both there. Was Showman and Janice as well. Showman, especially on Genji and Nimbani, and Janice just kind of across all maps playing Zenyatta, seemed to have like a fairly solid impact. Doesn't change the fact that my MVP is Jiffy, but just a couple guys I do want to give a quick shout out to.
Definitely say well deserved as well. And always tip your healers. I can definitely respect the shout out to Yanis. Anyway, I think that is all said and done. We will conclude this first broadcast in about 25 minutes time. We will have the second game of the evening with myself, Dreamboat, and Phoenix, but that is where we will conclude this current broadcast. Good night, happy fragging, and hang around. We will have more Overwatch for your eyeballs still to come.
Drive safe.